Hey folks, hey Don, this is Mahesh. Today I'm going to assemble my new work and gaming computer. I bought these parts from the Amazon Black Friday sale. This is the Corsair 780t case that I had previously. I removed the previous motherboard from this. I kept the same power supply as it is a very high quality AX860i. I'll be keeping the same hard drives and SSD for storage as well, and this Blu-ray drive for movie discs. And this is the GTX 1050 I'll be using for a temporary GPU, as I couldn't get a high-end card due to the current crisis. Now on to the new stuff. This is the Samsung 980 Pro M.2 SSD drive. This is some nice cheap DDR4 3600 RAM from TeamForce. I got 32 GB because I need it for editing 4K videos, like this one. Here we have the Ryzen 5800X 8-core CPU. Got it for just $340 from Amazon. And this is the Asus TUF X570 Pro with Wi-Fi. For CPU cooling, I got the BeQuiet Pure Rock 2 single tower cooler. I don't plan on doing much overclocking, so this should be enough for me. And finally, I got a Windows 11 boot drive. So everything's ready. Let's go. This is the external Wi-Fi antenna. Don't think I'll be using this because I have fiber optic internet. Now this is a good looking motherboard. 2 M.2 slots, 8 SATA ports, 2 nice big VRM heatsinks. Rear connections include PS2 port, 4 USB 3.2 Gen 1 ports, USB Type-C port, HDMI port, display port, and this is where the Wi-Fi antenna connects to. 2.5 gigabit LAN port, and 2 USB 3.2 Gen 2 ports. Here we get the audio jacks including an optical out. So let's leave it like this on the anti-static bag. In the box we have 2 SATA 3 cables, motherboard cutout, rubber pad and screws and standoffs for the M.2 drive. Here's a certificate of reliability, manual, stickers, and driver CD. Here's the Ryzen 5800X. It comes with a case sticker. Open the lever on the CPU socket. Open the pack and take out the CPU by holding it from the edges. Make sure the pins are not bent. All good? There's a small arrow on one corner and that needs to align with the arrow on the motherboard socket. Now just place it gently on the open socket and it should fall right in. Don't apply any force. Now close the lever and boom, you just completed the hardest task in assembling a PC. Now let's take out the cooler. It's a beautiful black single tower cooler with 4 heat pipes. The thermal paste comes pre-applied, so that makes things much easier. It comes with mounting brackets for both AMD and Intel, fan clips, an installation guide, and a 120mm fan. It's a silent fan with a max RPM of 1500. Now to test the cooler, you need to remove these 2 brackets first. Use a Phillips screwdriver to remove them both. Now get the AMD mounting brackets and throw away the Intel. You only need what's inside these two bags. Now get these 4 black standoffs and attach them here and here and here and here. The 4 corners. Don't worry, they only go one way. Now take this bracket and place it on top of the standoffs. Make sure you put the screw in here because this is an AM4 socket. This outside hole is for the AM3. These washers are not necessary, they are only for AM3. Now screw it in using the provided screws. Refer to the installation guide if necessary. It should look like this when it's done. Now remove the cover on the cooler. The thermal paste is pre-applied. Now take out this little bar and slide it through here. Now place the whole thing gently on the CPU like this. Using these screws, attach the bar to the 2 brackets. Tighten them but not too much. Before attaching the fan, easier to put in the RAM sticks. Use the slots with the same shade of grey for best performance. It's called dual channel. Now remove the SSD and get the screws that came with the motherboard. There will also be a few standoffs like this. Screw the standoffs in first, and then when you attach the SSD, it will be nice and level. Now you can attach the fan. As you can see, the RAM clearance is more than enough. Don't forget to connect the fan cable to the motherboard header. Most AM4 motherboards will require BIOS update before Ryzen 5000 CPUs are recognized. In this motherboard, you can check the BIOS version by checking this little sticker here. These last 2 numbers are the BIOS version. Now we need to stick this whole thing into the case. So last night I attached an extra intake fan here, and I removed one of the hard drive cages here to improve ventilation. First we need to fix the motherboard cutout. This case came with the motherboard standoffs already installed. So just have to place the board on top of the standoffs to align with the screw holes. Make sure this standoff falls into this hole in the board, then you're sure everything is perfectly aligned. Now simply screw in the nuts into these holes. Not all the holes need to be filled, but most should be. Now let's attach the graphics card. Because this is a GTX 1050, it doesn't need additional PCI Express power cables. Just stick it in and be done. Now simply attach the 24-pin power cable to the socket here. And then the CPU power cables. This board needs 2, one 8-pin and one 4-pin. So almost done, just need to stick in the front panel connectors. Here's the USB 3 cable. Goes in here. Front panel audio cable goes in here. USB 2 cable goes into this port here. System panel connectors such as power and reset buttons can be done according to this diagram here. And it's done, baby. Before connecting the storage drives and doing some cable management, let's find out if it boots up. So it booted up and the CPU was recognized thanks to the newer BIOS pre-installed on the motherboard. Thank God nothing is DOA, everything seems to be okay. Now I'm installing Windows 11 Pro using the bootable USB stick. To get Windows 11 to install, I had to go into the BIOS and under Advanced go into TPM configuration and make sure firmware TPM is enabled, otherwise Windows 11 will not install. Also in the BIOS, make sure DOCP is set to profile 1 so it automatically sets your RAM settings to optimal. And that's all you need to do within the BIOS unless you're going to overclock. All other settings are perfect in the default settings. Make sure to install the motherboard chipset drivers as soon as possible. So after some cable management, my new PC looks pretty nice. The CPU temps are decent and Windows boots up really fast, as software such as Illustrator installs in no time. So thanks for watching. See you guys later.